You want to hear the snap. That's what you're tuning in for, I hope.
And here we are in the spoiler section of Movie Baiters with the Farx Brothers.
All right, so we left it off at this thing that this is something that I didn't want to spoil for anybody else before. If you needed no spoilers.
This is not the credits thing that you heard in the end of the last episode. This is something specifically at minute 18 and the 18th, 19th minute of the movie.
Oh, no, it was going to be a spoilers thing. This at like the minute 18 and a half is just hilarious to me that she's working out in a fucking nightie.
She's got
oh, this is it.
Nylons on.
I want like
Motto Babyface March.
These names, man, like
Criminal Files, Police Sector.
Can you send this back a little bit so that we can go through some of these names of
We're
criminals?
We're gonna go back
because the names in this movie get fucking beautiful.
Because one of the things you heard about in our earlier episode, the non-spoiler section, was the 80s-ness of this movie and how this movie could only be made in the 80s. We delineated between the early and late 80s. You're right, she is wearing a nightie, and that is uncomfortable, but if it's an undergarment and she's by herself at home, maybe that is what's most comfortable for her.
Why would you work out in that?
It's not for me to judge if that is what's most comfortable for her. And
it does seem kind of strange.
Okay, so Spike McKenzie and Brad
Pepsi. There was like, they're like Brad. Like his nickname is Pepsi. Like, please go back for this. This is what I wanted to check in on, and it's going to be a lot of stopping and starting because like some of these names are fucking fantastic.
It is between the 8.5 and the 19.5 minute, right when Jesse Ventura gets introduced,
and he struts in, and Pete Rodriguez.
Fudge.
It's like Brad Pepsi Yamamoto.
Yeah,
you keep catching new names. This is great.
Peggy now what?
Wanda Zorn. Okay, and this is Status D site.
These are the criminal files. Mackenzie Spike. Oh, he was convicted for religious crimes.
I mean, that's a pretty big deal, is doing those religious crimes.
This is right after Jesse Ventura does his little strut through and then like moves right on off. And
Jesse Ventura in the intro is on right side up, and he ends upside down and is, "Are you ready for pain?" And it's basically jazzercising.
Yes.
Man,
I love Jesse Ventura in this because even his real hair looks fake.
That's his real hair? No way that's his real hair. That was so a wig. I'll bait you on that. Jesse Ventura right into the show. I live in Mexico so that I don't have to follow building code standards, and I can do whatever I want.
Here you go. Jason J-Man Argo.
Oh, Argo, fuck yourself.
He's an attitude controlist.
Spike McKenzie.
There's McKenzie Spike and Spike McKenzie.
Oh no, you gotta get so there was Brad Pepsi Yamamoto, and then I think his name is like Ed something.
This is
Peggy Now What Winstead, Jeffrey DJ Winstead. Oh, Jeffrey was convicted for religious crimes and worship.
Unsank? What's unsank?
Unsanctioned worship? I don't know.
It's got a little period. Okay. His eyes are brown, and his residence is Kansas City. But is it on the Kansas or Missouri side?
Well, there's only one answer. Wanda Zorn.
Mackenzie Spike. I think we
got... More religious crimes.
Important to all of that?
All of that.
What are some of the other names that you wrote down from the credits?
So in the credits, you get Teenage Punk, Barrio Better, Yuppie Yeller, and my favorite, Susie Checkpoint.
Susie Checkpoint.
Wow. Yeah.
Checkpoint is a fantastic cybersecurity company, and no one should speak ill of them, even
Shut
their competitor.
Yeah, what is? Are you trying to make a sale right now, Gal?
I'm not working for a VAR at the moment, Kirk.
There's also, while we're talking about credits and such, there was one, not a cameo because this was much earlier in her career, but it made me jump for joy as somebody who loves It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Charlie Kelly's mom.
The one with the short hair who's always smoking and looks kind of... Is butch an okay word to use?
That's Mac's mom.
That's right. Okay,
Lynn Marie Stewart. Charlie Kelly's mom is the one who's like...
The more effeminate one.
Yes, very, very sweet and supportive.
Yes.
and also loves fucking Danny DeVito's character.
Yeah.
Lynn Marie Stewart. She also makes an appearance in this, and it made me retroactively very happy.
I'm so happy they're doing the South, and this isn't a bait. I'm so happy they're doing the South Park thing and just making 6 episodes whenever they want for their big corporate enterprise.
Yep.
That then keeps them like, yeah, I get my insurance or whatever, and or however I stay in the WGA when I want to for my writing staff, or however that works.
They figured out the system in a very good way for all of them.
One of them, I want to remember her name, but she worked on Community, and
Megan Gans,
who was abused by Dan Harmon.
Yes, Megan Gans.
Or emotionally abused, not to give it wrong. And Megan Gans, and then she created the video game show with Charlie and Mac. Mm-hmm. And that's got at least one fantastic episode every year. When I said that movies exist in a context, you argued that this is the most 80s of 80s movies. What now, unrestrained by not having to talk about spoilers, would you add about this being the most 80s movie, and what makes it the most 80s movie? Because I would argue a bunch of other movies are more 80s. Like even Predator, I'd argue, is more 80s than this movie.
I think that part of it is like the 80s to me always has has a pretty heavy fascination with the future and with technology. A lot of 80s movies seem to have that trope for me, and they also have that using technology from that decade. So there's the briefcase that they're trying to use at the very beginning with the disruptor for the security clearance. And it's like a fucking briefcase. Like it looks like exactly like you would find a cell phone in 1989 or 1992, where it comes with a whole fucking briefcase. This ability to imagine a dystopian future that's so far ahead and yet still completely be slaves to the technology that they had at hand feels very 80s. I feel like once we got to the 90s, we started breaking out of that a lot better and being like, yes, it's the future, and the technology that we're using in the movie should reflect that, as opposed to the technology that we're using to make the movie.
Can you give an example?
The Matrix. The Matrix was, granted that was late 90s, but The Matrix did not look like a movie that was made with 1999 technology that they're showing, being like, it's 2241. The technology that they had for the year that movie was set in looked appropriate for something that far into the future.
2 movies that came out in 1985 and 1989 are more 80s than this movie.
Is one of them? Please.
Back to the Future and Back to the Future Part 2.
Yeah, yep.
Are both more... This movie lives in the shadow of those 2 movies, and those are the peak for Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd, who had an illustrious career, whereas this is not the peak for Schwarzenegger. This is not even...
that's not the argument, though.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I totally... Yes.
This is a movie made in the 80s, but set in the future. Back to the Future is a movie... What year was it made? Like
85.
85, but it is set in the 80s, isn't it?
But I also said 89.
Still set in 1985.
I also said 1989, which is Back to the Future Part 2, where they go to 2015, which is 2 years before this, and 2015 in 1989 is a lot more 80s than 2017 in 1987 is my argument.
Now, the only things that we established this, the only things that are 2017 out of this are the smart home aspect, even though it's still using 1987 technology, because that is definitely a 1987 Mr. Coffee drip coffee maker that they're using in their smart home, and having like a $6 Coke out of a vending machine.
State-run media.
Yeah. All right.
Do you want me to keep going?
No, please do.
The reality show boom. That's something that was not present in the 80s. They literally made American Gladiators off of clips from this movie.
Yeah, but hoverboards don't exist right now either for Back to the Future.
I ride a one-wheel.
They make predictions. It's not like a...
But what are the more 80s predictions? And like most of the time...
You tell us.
I wasn't...
This is your point to make. You tell us.
The burden of proof is on me to say that...
Correct.
1989's 2015 is more 80s than 1987's 2017. The two ties that Michael J. Fox wears. That Biff is the president. That shows that was that's basically what the Simpsons were doing when they said...
when they made the President Trump joke.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. I see what you're saying.
And actually the hoverboard from Back to the Future Part 2 is much more like my one wheel. So
No, it's not.
Yeah,
It doesn't
it
have a
is.
one wheel.
Oh, who's a middle-aged man?
Yeah.
Is it you?
You're a kid.
Is it you?
He's tickling me. He's trying to tickle me again. Wait till I try to tickle you. Shut up. Shut up.
Why are you mocking me? I'm your guest.
Wow.
Because you're
I'm
the
gonna
guest.
pee all over your stairs. I've threatened it
Why
multiple times
specifically
tonight.
the stairs? Is
He's
that
got
you
a
wanna pee
stairs
on?
fetish.
I mean,
You
they're
told me
also.
that,
It's also
yeah.
because they're carpeted, so it's like the fact that they're carpeted and stairs just makes it that much worse, and it's going to stink up 2 rooms that way. I've peed on enough stairs to know where to pee strategically.
I see. You've opened doors and peed. Just indiscriminately. Is what I'm
Yeah,
gathering
naturally.
from this.
And then I've like learned from my mistakes and learned where to do it better.
I am taken out of this movie frequently by things like them having perfect video of the helicopter. Like when they recut the stuff from the helicopter.
Yes.
And that's not 80s. That's just bad filmmaking.
Correct. I agree with you on that. I also like one of the things that like in general, and going back to that, like, is it a bad good movie or a good bad movie? I appreciate movies. I appreciate media in general that just like it doesn't even do like the 0 to 60. It just starts at fucking 60 and goes faster. That is always something that I'm very here for. The fact that this movie starts with him having a crisis of conscience that is so stiff and wooden, but is also
Clear cut.
it is so clear cut, and like you don't see anything that built up to it.
Yeah,
like he's just
crisis of conscience up to that, you know?
like because up to that, like he's literally just like flying, and he's like, no, I'm not going to do that, and then like it just like escalates from there. Like you don't see any of him like actually thinking about it or questioning any of it. It just goes to him being like, no, like, and it's.
He's Swedish in your impression. Yeah. I think of like Andrew Garfield in Mel Gibson's movie about the Jehovah's Witness that won the Medal
Oh,
of
the
Honor.
Passion of the Christ.
That's not the one.
That's totally the one.
There's
Payback.
No, you're trying to fuck me up now. And I do
What
not-
women want.
You know who Andrew Garfield is?
Yes, I do.
He's in a movie where
I'm
he
just
plays
having
the
a good
Jehovah's
time.
Witness who won the Medal of Honor, and I imagine him going from that to
He was a pacifist, right?
Yeah, the guy
it's
who
what women
touch
want.
a
Helen
gun.
Hunt was in it. It was great.
He didn't direct it. It's
Hack
directed
Ridge
by
Field
Mel.
or whatever.
Yeah, but no, he waxed his
Ridge.
legs in it. It was excellent.
Hack something Ridge.
Yeah, it's Hack Ridge. Anyway,
Yeah, it's something.
Hacksaw Ridge. It's Hacksaw
Yeah.
Ridge. So I think of that guy from Hacksaw Ridge going to like Abu Ghraib. Like, I won't touch a gun too, Abu Ghraib. That inspired the sequel book to Wicked, which I've now brought up on 2 episodes, and I haven't read that book. But I read the quote from the author where he said that inspired him.
I will say that this also, so like we're watching it in the background, and this is one of those. This is very reality TV as well. Climbing for dollars, like it is so on one hand so very low hanging fruit, and on the other hand completely nailed it. Like climbing for dollars is not all that different than what Fear Factor was.
I was at the hey Joe Rogan.
Yeah, yep.
I was at the Mall of America today because I live in Minnesota, and there's literally a Double Dare machine where you can put your kid in a little strap, and they can pick up as many inflated things, and then they get to keep the one they like the best. So you're telling me that you put different kids on straps for $20 in the Mall of America, and they get to do a claw machine where they're the claw. And then they wipe down every blown up piece of thing in there afterwards.
Like,
So you're telling me that, I mean, like,
outside of the germ vacuum, that honestly sounds amazing.
oh yeah, I was pretty
Like,
impressed by it.
And also,
well,
if I was like 4 years old, I'd be like, this is the fucking best thing I've ever done in my life.
my 4-year-old is constantly saying, "This is the fucking best thing." I'm so glad
She's correct.
I've kept them from
I'm
swearing.
also so glad that she knows how to swear properly.
A mother who I know who has children that are not mine, who I'm not married to and haven't not made children with, told me my children swear so much recently, and if she hears this, she'll know that she is the one I'm referring to. I've been oblique, so that, and I was just so proud of her. Like, my children swear so
I'm not gonna lie. As somebody who is looking forward to having their first child in a few months,
Did you fart?
I sure did. Oh, it just happened again.
That's in honor of having a baby, ladies. That's
Letting it all go. One of the things that I am looking forward to is teaching my child how to cuss hard and well.
I have, I think, heard the 4-year-old say the F word, and it's kind of like if you see them masturbating, you just can't react. Like when they're that young, because you don't want to scar them.
Yep.
And
I'm saying yup because like I get it in a vacuum, but like that's actually just dawning on me of like, oh, that's totally a thing of just like walking in on your on your kid, just like fucking yanking away.
I'm sure my adopted father walked in on me yanking it, and
like he probably still does.
Oh yeah, right. Hey,
he lives in Maple. He lives not far away.
In Maple, yeah. See, bringing it back to the so movies existing in context. I know I ended the last episode by talking about the United Healthcare CEO being shot, and that relates to the end of the movie with a
$6 Coke, and they need to pay for it with change.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, sorry.
This is the part where she says the line, "Oh my God, he could have raped you or killed you." Or raped you, then killed you. No, I'll read the line because she's about to say it.
It's beautiful.
And this goes back to exactly what we're talking about.
It's so very 87.
Ad hoc defect. And
when I say beautiful, I would like to be clear that it is beautiful in how awful it is, not beautiful in the sentiment. Like, it is a purely awful
You're
line.
lucky he didn't kill you or rape you and kill you. Or kill you, then rape you, I think is the next line. Or kill you, then rape you. Yep. That's the next line. So the president.
I mean, a guy like that, what would stop him? Jesus Christ.
That's the part. Yes. What a guy like, and she's saying it. I think. Okay, let's debate this.
She's clearly like she's licking her lips and like smoking, watching him walk away.
She's smoking a Cruella de Vil cigarette.
Yeah, like she
thinks it's hot.
That's what she's.
We're not debating this. Okay.
That's what they've set her up to be wanting.
So the president having an agent is something they introduced slightly before this, and I feel very strongly that is anyone going to debate me on whether or not celebrity president had an agent?
He not only had he not only had an agent, he had a management team.
Well, hey, Michelle also had an agent. Let's try and remember that. She has a book. And you don't think both of them have agents?
Dude, a book agent is different than a theatrical agent.
This is a tease for episode 3.
Yeah, they are different agents who do different things.
Good job, Kyle.
Yeah, nice, well played. Yeah. they all absolutely have publicists who are different than their agents and managers, but they also have managers. Like there is an entire team working for them towards those things.
You don't think when the clip of me plays in Fleabag and she talks about masturbating to me?
You should not do that.
I can't do his accent. Like I can do a president. I can do any president. Just to be clear. I'm a
John Tyler. Now
I'm dead.
That's not what he fucking sounds like.
Yeah. You don't know. Is there a recording of John Tyler?
There are millions of them. He sang for he was one of the fill-in singers for the Grateful Dead.
He died before what year was he president?
Well, I'm thinking Phil Tesh, not John Tyler.
In one of these episodes, you thought that Bill Clinton's first year was 91, and that was still HW for sure. That wasn't even an election year.
An election year?
Lick your ballot hard, folks.
The
president having Obama and Trump both have agents. Let's be honest. Biden doesn't have an agent.
Obama does not have an agent. He has a publicist. He might have a manager.
But no
Obama's not trying to book more work.
Okay.
An agent is just there to help you book work. An agent is there to do contracts.
And I could see how Trump would definitely have an agent, but he also booked his own contracts because, like Home Alone 2, for them to film in Trump Tower.
He wasn't president then, though.
Well, they're just two people doing things to
that dude actually absolutely had management, and he certainly had publicists, and they all worked together.
Well, all 6 of your agents, episode 3, they don't work together, do they?
No.
You coordinate them.
I don't coordinate any of them. My agents all work independently, and they funnel things to me, and if I have a problem with one of them, I just talk to them. But like my agents never talk to each other. My manager will talk to some of my agents every now and then, but that's it.
You're a manager on top of it. This didn't come out in episode 3.
Yeah, I do.
Is there anything that we didn't cover in episode 3 that we should cover now?
Not necessarily. Like, if that's something that you want to know more about, like, that's just how my business goes.
No,
like, I do have a manager. I have multiple agents, and like they're separate entities. A manager is much more involved in the day-to-day of your career.
Yeah.
An agent is there to help you find auditions, book jobs, and hammer out contracts and make sure that you get paid. Manager is much more like they have a smaller client base because they are supposed to be much more one-on-one with you.
I watched Entourage. I get it.
Yeah.
That was a joke. The way
I also watched way too much of Entourage because it was a time in my life where that was the thing to do.
I went to Wahlburgers at the Mall of America.
Are we just like are we just competing for who could do the most like shit bro thing from 2008?
Yeah.
Like, cause
so the way
we've reached my bottom.
I'm going to relate this to when Arnold ran for governor, his bus was called the Running Man. See?
Oh, wow.
Good. You know something? Good callback. Way to bring us all back home. Look at all these SAG cards. Look at all these SAG cards hanging out there. There's like 200 or 300 SAG cards.
There are a bunch of the jazzercise ladies up there. Mm-hmm. I've heard it put as an agent is about the next deal. A manager is about the next several deals. Is that the way a neophyte could look at those two positions and contrast them?
Sure. I could see that. Like, I think that's pretty apt. Like an agent's yeah. I think that's fairly apt.
I was hoping you were going to debate me on that, and I was coming at it from, me.
No, you're not necessarily incorrect. Like, a manager is there to help you take the 3, 5, 10 year view on things. An agent is there to help you get to like the next 1 to 3 months as far as your jobs go.
In the movie The Running Man,
all of these actors had agents for the most part. Like, especially for what this era is, I guarantee you, they all had reps,
and they were all doing coke. Ben Richards is offered a contract by the game show host, and he doesn't accept it.
Mm-hmm.
But
his agent would have been pissed.
He doesn't have it. No, he does have a court-appointed agent. And
yes, he does, which was one of my favorite. I'm so glad that you brought this up. I loved that detail about this.
A court-appointed agent and the president has an agent. Everyone's got a lawyer. And what would Shakespeare say? Since you bring up that this is modern Shakespeare, I believe, in episode 3.
You know what he would probably say?
Shakespeare says first kill all the lawyers. Just so that I'm being clear. I'm not suggesting that since I made all of these references to something awful.
No. If Shakespeare were watching this, I'm sure he'd say, "What the fuck is going on?
Why are women acting? You should never have women act.
Followed by
Only men should be playing women.
What are we watching? What are these things moving around? You have water in your house? I can poop in a room and it goes away?" Shakespeare would have a lot to say about a lot of things.
Why is the guy who wrote 15 drafts of this script getting his name when actually you should just force people to write for you, which is probably what Shakespeare did.
I will say that, like, for the brilliance of Shakespeare, the movies that have been made that are based around Shakespearean stories, there's a reason why they endure. Like, if you ever have me back, I know that we've talked about like a couple of different options as far as like other things to talk about, but I do think that Clueless is an absolutely phenomenal comedy. I will go to that. I will go to bat.
Wait,
for
which
that
of
movie.
Shakespeare's? I've heard this before and I never get it right.
It's
like 10 Things About You is Taming of the Shrew.
Yes.
And Clueless is
I think it's All's Well That Ends Well.
Okay. You know what we're talking about, Kirk?
I know Clueless. I don't know what it's based off of.
No,
God damn it!
It's one of Shakespeare. It's like it's kind of like Emma is. Wait, Emma is not Shakespeare. That's the Gwyneth Paltrow movie. Anyways,
this is super irritating that I can't remember. I can tell you that the mid 90s, as we're talking about 80s and 90s movies, the mid 90s movies, Romeo and Juliet was based on Romeo and Juliet.
Romeo plus Juliet. Can I tell you an anecdote about that? I'm not going to ask for consent. Doesn't matter. So one of our brothers got another brother pregnant. Or no, a pledge pregnant.
What? Yeah, what do you...
That took a turn.
Yeah.
One of your brothers got another one of your brothers pregnant?
I was in... my Farx brother, Kirk, was asking about this recently. He was like, you were in a international co-ed business fraternity? So... And they're still together, so I feel very confident in telling the story I'm about to tell. Eric and Donna. It's almost like that 70s show.
Wow. Go on.
Yep.
You're reaching hard.
No, this is true.
I don't doubt you that it's true. I'm saying that you're reaching hard.
Aliens is a more 80s movie than the movies you've suggested. So Eric and Donna get pregnant together, but Donna's the one with the baby.
Yeah,
obviously.
Donna's the one who gets pregnant. That's how bodies work.
And
It's biology, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. You and me tonight, man.
Yeah,
This guy is going off
Me
the
against
fucking
the
rails.
world.
Yeah.
Eric is at the house, and we're like, Eric, that baby's gonna pop out like Alien. And we were debating whether it came out through the chest or the belly. So we went to, and this is going to relate to Romeo plus Juliet. Wait,
Okay.
come with me on this journey. Come with me.
When Claire Danes pops out of Leonardo DiCaprio's belly.
So we were like, we're going to figure this out. We have to watch Alien and Aliens again. So we go to Blockbuster, Eric, myself, and other people in the fraternity house. And we rent Alien, Aliens, and Romeo plus Juliet to figure out how it happened that Eric would have this problem. And ultimately, we kind of landed in the middle of like, I know it's called the chest buster, but it kind of comes out between the stomach and the chest in Alien. So we watched Aliens, the most 80s movie, and then we watched Romeo plus Juliet. Ian, you'd like to insert?
Oh no, we're just watching in the background, and Lynn Marie Stewart is on, and it's again that cameo
Charlie's
that I'm digging on. That's all.
Yeah, where she's like picking who's going to, because they go to the people in the sports. So another thing this movie gets right about 2017, but it's sort of off, is like FanDuel was around in 2017, and you being able to gamble on your phone is evil and bad.
Yes.
And you should have to go to casinos to gamble. I'm not against gambling. I'm like, this is kind of a conservative point that some people have.
I'm 100% with you on this. That it like
Bait me.
no,
Sorry.
dude, I'm not into giving crack to crackheads.
Yeah.
Like that is what the
Just give 'em
proliferation.
Coke.
Yeah, that is what the proliferation of gambling in this way and making it this accessible has been like.
Can we come up with any better name than, like a better insult than, I've got it. Professor Sub-Zero.
I'm glad that he's a professor because it means that he's earned his degree.
Yes.
Like I would be much more skeptical of Sub-Zero if he hadn't grabbed a degree.
So the joke I have is that the better insult would be adjunct Professor Sub-Zero.
Oh yeah. I 100% agree with that.
It's like that old joke, like, oh no, he's got a doctor, Dr. Evil. He must be super evil because he's a doctor. Whereas all postdocs are like, oh yes, the postdoc process turned him evil.
Yep. Yeah.
You heard that one, brother?
No, I haven't heard that one. That's why I didn't laugh.
This is going to be published media where your farts will be on.
Who says that they're mine?
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Hulk, how dare you? I referred to Hulk in earlier episodes.
I also,
that's not
like-
really his hair. That is not Jesse Ventura's hair. I don't even believe
That is
the
totally his
mustache is
hair.
real.
That's 100%
Because
his
it's
hair.
not a real
What, do you think
beard-
that he was just born bald and in a turtleneck?
Kind of. No, like
With that face, yeah, I think you might have.
like gun to my head, I kind of believe Jesse Ventura was born bald and probably had a turtleneck on.
Yeah.
You didn't
we're-
really finish your fraternity story.
Yeah, we deviated pretty hard.
The fraternity story is as simple as Donna and Eric are still together, and they have, I think, 2 or 3 children. I haven't kept track.
But did he figure it out?
Well, yeah, I told you that the aliens come out through the middle.
Yeah, but what does that have to do with a baby?
Oh, we were arguing that the baby wasn't going to come out the normal way. The baby was going to burst through the chest or
It was
stomach.
going to
Is
have
there
like
an
an
inside
unnatural
joke
cesarean.
that I'm missing here?
No, it's not an inside
Oh.
joke. We were just being very cruel to our brother in our fraternity who got another brother pregnant because we had a co-ed fraternity. And we're like,
Okay.
oh man, you shouldn't have done that first and foremost. But now we're going to talk about it and make inappropriate jokes.
Well, I was just worried if I had to show you a book after this to show you how the bees and the birds work, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
How do the birds and the bees work?
Kyle needs to learn
stingers.
because he already has multiple children. So like the sooner that he can learn how this goes, the better.
The stinger goes
This
to
is
the bird.
also a sidebar. Back to Running Man. This is one of my favorite scenes in this is Sub-Zero in the like post-apocalyptic hockey rink, just shoving people around with a hockey stick and with a goalie stick more specifically. But like, there's no way that anybody could actually push another human being on the ice in this way. As somebody who very much enjoys hockey, I wouldn't say that this is a good bad movie. This is not a bad good movie, but this is a touch that is never not funny to me. And the fact that like Lynn Marie Stewart is here throughout, I am a sucker for finding character actors who have made long careers out of just popping up in places and seeing them like show up for their 5 lines and then walk away. She is fantastic in this. She knows how to make such a meal out of her lines and out of her moments in a way that few actors can.
Professor Sub-Zero has a bladed goalie stick and does not effectively use a bladed goalie stick in the ways that one might if you knew you could just slash with a certain amount of cutting force.
Yeah, like if you had a goalie stick that also doubled as a machete, he's not using it in that way at all. He's like, oh, but I'm a goalie. And it's like, no, you're not, dude. You're here to murder people.
Is that what makes it good bad? Because it's like, it's entertaining because you know how this has to turn out. It's entertaining in how it gets there, but it's bad in how it gets there.
All right. The good bad is that, like, I think that this could have never been a good movie to begin with. If this was destined to be a bad movie by the fact that they cast somebody who cannot act, at least at this point in his career, and like whether or not he could act at any point is debatable.
He is an entertaining presence.
They did it,
and I don't think that
he's
acting
an entertaining presence, but those are two
acting
different
is not
things.
about being able to relate to somebody because people don't understand.
That is 100% what acting is.
People
that
don't
is exactly
understand what they
acting
think
is.
they relate to.
Shut the fuck up.
People,
no, incorrect. You have like after
professional actor.
After
let me tell you what acting
two
is.
hours of this, you have finally found the debate. That is completely incorrect. Acting is entirely about how you relate to people. And
no,
like,
it's not about how you relate to people. It's about how people relate to you.
No. Like there's some sides of the same coin on that, but no. Arnold could relate to people more than people could relate to him.
People related to Arnold. I do not believe Arnold is a populist who relates to people. I think the populace relates to Arnold because he's weird. Because he's a fish out of water.
Nobody relates to that guy. They're entertained by the spectacle. Those are two very different things.
The distance between their expectation of what a person should be and is, and who Arnold is what gives them the creative space to be able to imprint themselves onto him. It's kind of like
nobody's imprinting themselves onto him. They're watching
he's
this.
He's the protagonist. That's what people do when they watch movies, especially children.
No. Like especially for a movie like this, like nobody's imprinting themselves onto him. People,
yes,
if anything,
you're watching the movie going, how would I get out of this situation?
I'm not watching this movie for that.
I know that's not what you're watching it for. It's the journey you're on in the video game movie.
Which we already established that you're also incorrect on. Like, man, no, absolutely wrong.
I genuinely think that Arnold is someone people relate to because he is an inhuman person who got you to believe the robot was a person in the first movie, and he's not a person, he's a robot. But then in the second movie, he's a robot that's your friend.
We're not talking about those movies. We're talking about The Running Man. Though.
You may as well be talking about Pinocchio.
It exists, well, to some degree, he is the wooden man, in at least how you've described his acting.
I mean, he 100% is the wooden man. Like,
damn. All right.
This is.
I genuinely watched Arnold movies as a child, thinking of myself as Arnold. Like, I want to grow up to be that guy.
But here's where I would debate it.
Problem.
It's gotten me this far.
Here's where I would debate it. I think we all know Arnold's acting is bad.
I'm not going to say it's bad. I don't agree, but continue.
You don't think it's bad?
You're incorrect.
I think he's charismatic, and I don't understand the difference between.
But I think that gives him an edge.
I don't understand the difference between being charismatic and like good acting at a certain point.
Have you never watched Daniel Day-Lewis? Like, granted, that dude like loves the smell of his own farts.
He's also charismatic.
He's also charismatic, and he's very much up his own ass. But like, he's a good fucking actor. Like, you've never. I
think he's very into the Meisner technique.
Bridges and seen that it's not. You've never watched? I
think Jeff Bridges is the good in between point between Arnold Schwarzenegger and Daniel Day-Lewis that you accidentally stepped into, because
it's not an accident. Like, these are just good actors.
I think Arnold's a great performance artist.
That's not an actor.
That you can't
say not an actor.
Yeah.
A performance artist is not an actor. That is 100% not an actor.
Not all performance artists are actors. Yeah. All actors are performance artists. I know I've made you very mad and uncomfortable in the thought of...
You're not making me uncomfortable.
Oh, good.
You're just making me, like, you're like, that is one that is actually making me think, but no, like, actors are not...
Because as long as you're invested in what's going on, he's acting. Acting is becoming a character. Your expectation for this character is one thing, and who Arnold is and what he can be is another thing. And it doesn't fit in the box you're trying to put this expectation for the character.
No, I think I'm more invested in Arnold when he's in a movie as Arnold, not as his character.
When is he ever in a movie as Arnold?
Yes. Every single fucking movie. Just because you name him Ben fucking Richards, you may as well name him like Vanilla Milkshake if you're naming him Ben Richards. He's not inhabiting a character. He's just being Arnold going through this.
Again, I go back to his range between a movie like Terminator and a movie like Twins. He has a relationship to the story.
Being him.
He's a great writer in his performance. That's what Jack Nicholson would say about his longevity in his career.
He's good at being himself, and he's good at being comfortable with himself and doing what he needs to do to get through the process of making a movie. He's great at hitting his marks. He knows what he needs to do for the camera. He knows what he needs to do for all of that. But as far as like actually inhabiting a different character, he cannot do that to save his life.
There's a difference. You don't disagree there's a difference between his character in this and his character in Kindergarten Cop?
No, I don't think there's a difference.
No, there really isn't. In terms of what he's doing as an actor, he is doing the things that he is told to do. He is reciting the lines that he has been given. He is in the place that he needs to be, and he is dressed as he needs to be dressed. He is not doing anything different besides hitting his marks, doing what he's told, and moving on to the next scene.
I think,
which, like, if you're David Mamet, that's the definition of an actor. There's more to it than that, I think, but like...
What has made him one of the most successful actors of the past 30 years is that between action and cut, he knows you'll be back.
No, he absolutely knows how to be entertaining. I mean, like, look at the fucking State Farm commercials that he did. Like, he's I
don't remember those at all.
They air during the Super Bowl. It's basically him, doing like a get to the chopper, like a whole bunch of like classic lines.
Get to the chopper. I'm trying to do an impression.
Within the context of like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. It's him doing all of this shit, but like through the context of corporate sponsorship. It's him still being him. He's in on the joke. Like, he's not a moron. He knows exactly what he's doing in all of these. I'm not saying all
he's
of this
like Melania Trump, to be honest with you. Like,
what?
Speaks so many languages, very smart person, and clearly milking it for the maximum possible value. And if that's not an American actor, I don't know what is.
That's a crazy comparison to make.
Yeah, that's not...
What are you
completely
saying?
agree with you, Kirk.
You don't think that Melania Trump is a very successful model / entrepreneur?
She may be, but I haven't watched her for the last 30 years doing what she does.
Yeah, if you're looking at it from that sense, like, it's just... I feel like looking at it in that sense is a really callous way of looking at it.
I'm looking at it from the Mamet to Melania, like, paradigm of... I understand what you're saying from a subjective appreciation of the art of acting. I want to see the same persons inhabit different characters that are of a broad range. That doesn't mean that charismatic personalities that are able to fit their mold to a variety of narratives are less valuable in the landscape of acting. It's just different.
I never said that he wasn't less valuable. I didn't say that.
He's literally
Thank
not
you.
less valuable.
Yeah,
He's not less
definitely
He's
not
more
less
valuable in several years in the 90s, I believe.
I'm just saying that I am watching these movies for Arnold, not for the character he portrays.
Yes.
I was watching this movie
like
for the
character
concept.
is secondary. Like the fact that he's playing Ben Richards doesn't fucking matter.
I
Like
can
Ben
still enjoy
Richards'
this
journey
movie,
doesn't
yeah.
matter.
The character's name doesn't matter, but you were sold on a concept and the persona. Like he in the mid 80s to the early 90s sells so many sci-fi concepts, which is kind of what helped him get ahead of Sly, is that Sly didn't sell as many, sci-fi concepts. You have Demolition Man.
It also doesn't make him an actor. It makes him an entertainer.
If I pull 20 people off the street, when are they going to be able to tell the difference of 20 people I randomly pull off the street?
Well, dude, if you're going by that metric, then U2 is the greatest band in the world, even though they're the most fucking vanilla thing to happen to music ever. Like,
You don't like U2?
no, they're fucking terrible. Like if you're just going
I
off
don't have
of,
an opinion, which is the greatest part of this.
if you're just going off of like
Yeah.
like if you're just going off of what people on the street are telling you, you're going to get like the most baseline like milquetoast answer for all of this that you're going to get. They're going to say that Arnold's an actor because they don't know any fucking better. Like in terms of him doing the job of like, and again, it's, as we talked about before, it's all context. In terms of him doing the job that he needs to do for the movie, if that's your definition of an actor, sure, he's an actor. In terms of actually inhabiting another character, and building like a pathos and ethos and such that he is actually going to be able to, that people are going to be able to relate to, he's not an actor. He's a person who is good at entertaining. Those are absolutely not the same thing. Like, if anything, this is part of what made Chris Farley's death so tragic, is he was initially going to be Shrek. Yeah. Shrek was 90% recorded with Chris Farley as Shrek. In hearing the storyboards for it and in the prelim recordings that they had done, like you can hear Chris Farley actually reaching a point of being an actor and being a human and creating a character that you can relate to way more than you can in any other in any other of his vehicles. And you get glimpses of it in things like in movies like Tommy Boy. Black Sheep was just a repeat of Tommy Boy, so it didn't really hit that, but Tommy Boy like actually had some heart. Like Chris was like, for where he was when he died, that dude was primarily an entertainer, but that dude actually had some acting in him. Arnold, like, I enjoy the shit out of this. That dude that dude can't fucking act. Just because he can hit his marks and be dressed and be the right person in the right place for this kind of story and building it around him and his celebrity does not make him an actor.
I found your Chris Farley comparison very poignant because I really like Chris Farley in a variety of things.
Same. And
recently was hearing about how Mike Myers took over kind of after tragedy in that movie, and they had to re-record the whole thing.
They had to re-record the whole thing.
Scottish.
Yeah, because Mike Myers just decided like he should be fucking Scottish. Like they were so close to having that done, and like, man, it's one of the most heartbreaking things for me in terms of people that I've never met before, but in terms of actors who have meant something to me and entertainers who have meant something to me. That like if that man could have held on for another 6 months and just gotten there with himself and with that movie and seen not only how other people were able to see him, but also feel for himself what he was able to do. Like we all lost out on something great with Chris Farley going. Nobody more than him. But yeah.
But then we never would have gotten Shrek 2.
I would be fine with that.
I know. That was
honestly,
a terrible...
we totally would have gotten Shrek 2. Are you kidding?
Yeah,
like, Chris Farley is also not somebody to say no to money.
He would have held on for... He would have made a lot more money and then done a lot more cocaine.
Like, it's also like reading about how he was initially going to be the cable guy.
Oh, wow.
And which is I'm in very much in the minority and loving that movie.
No, I don't think so.
I think
like
that
movie.
But you and me are still in the minority in that.
We are a minority, yes.
But Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for understanding where I was coming from.
Hey, woke.
But
Thank you for holding space for that, Cal.
Cable Guy is also one that like had the opportunity for him to have that kind of pathos, and for him to make something that relatable. And that's part of why Cable Guy flopped, was because Jim Carrey tried to do that and to make a character that was relatable at a time where people were just like, yeah, dude, just be Jim Carrey. Just make us, just entertain us like this shit, like what we're watching right now with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No, I think you had it right by comparing Chris Farley to Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I had it all right.
You tried to contrast them. That was where you were wrong. Where you're right is that they're very similar, and that how the audience relates to them, because they are unexpected and different than the average bear, is what makes them uniquely talented as actors. Both Chris Farley, both Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Don't know that I agree with that.
I know you don't agree with that. You're on a movie debate podcast where you're...
It's not that, like, it's not me being on a debate podcast.
No,
like,
no,
I actually agree with that. Fuck your bit, Kyle.
No, it's not a bit. I genuinely think that when I look at the beauty of humanity and each snowflake being different from another...
Yeah, no, I felt that too. I was not prepared for that statement.
All right, go ahead, Cal.
When I see that God can make an Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I know you're both atheists, or differently faithful than I.
Are you also an atheist?
Are you also an atheist?
Are you also an atheist?
Yeah,
Mike Pickman would like to know. Are you
Oh, this
also
is
an
good.
atheist?
Yeah.
This is good. Yeah. Okay. Cool. We're
Come on, Cal, it's a magical moment. You gotta keep going with yours.
So
oh no!
that
Fuck him. Fuck this
Humanity.
believer. Yeah.
Go ahead.
God can make a Chris Farley. God can make a Arnold Schwarzenegger. And we are all blessed for the cherished gift of somebody's soul being born in celluloid, as it were, in the 90s with both Chris Farley and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Neither of them were born in the 90s.
No.
Yeah.
When we were very aware of their movie product was the late 80s and early 90s. One was in comedy. Well, Chris Farley dies, and then do you think Arnold Schwarzenegger gave him that coke so that he could be the comedy god? No, the timeline doesn't work out.
Wow. There's something so poignant and so touching.
And then just jumped right to that. Yeah.
So a guy was opening up to me once about having met John Denver after it was the sports announcer from Cool Runnings, the one on the right, I think. It doesn't matter. And we're at a
okay.
A snow luge, a bar, and he's like, I met John Denver, and he pulls up a picture of John Denver, and like, I spent 7 magical days with him, and I was like, did you kill John Denver? Like, that was my first thought.
I mean, when you say that you spent 7 magical days with him, like immediately my mind goes to like, well, then it was 8 nights and 7 magical days, because that's how vacation packages are set up.
Ew, you had a mustache? I think was another response. It could be a magical moment, and I'm still me because I'm a snowflake God made, just like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Chris Farley.
Wow, I think that's a perfect place to end it, Cal.
Wait, do we miss anything? We can talk about deep fakes.
We're about to watch this guy get his eyes closed for him.
Oh, I wrote a bunch of things about Jim Brown and was researching him and his civil rights activism.
Okay,
good guy. Stood up with Muhammad Ali when he wouldn't, go for the draft.
Yeah, Jim Brown's great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he also had maybe some issues with women that should be acknowledged, and he said very poignantly at the end of his life that you should never, it doesn't matter how much she hits you, you gotta,
You are not wrong. Like,
Well, I'm sorry.
Again, working in that vacuum of like, there's a lot of things that he did that were great.
It was a brave thing to do an event with Muhammad Ali at the time he did it in the late 60s.
Yes.
Do you know that, Kirk?
No, I didn't know that.
That's what I was thinking about while watching this movie. That's maybe why I don't like...
I honestly didn't know, and frankly, I didn't know about his...
Civil rights activism versus his success in football.
I knew about those. I didn't know about his feelings on women.
Well, it's not well, just that they're
His actions toward women.
Well, it's the you have to go like, oh, what was the time, and then factor in it's calculus because he's also
yeah, I know a bad thing when it's a bad thing.
Well, if
bad thing is still a bad thing, like
but did they accuse him because he was a person of color, or did he actually do a bad thing? Those are two different things, and I can't know, so it's not worth me like adjudicating that. And that's what's kind of sick about society is we want the clear answer of like just kill that guy in the American Gladiator Stadium, Running Man.
Yeah, but if he still did a bad thing, I'm not gonna.
I don't know. He died last year. I don't know.
Factor in that he was black, that he shouldn't have done. The bad thing is still a black thing.
The bad thing is still a bad thing.
Sure, Martin Luther King Jr. shouldn't have cheated on his wife. I'll give you that. But the FBI shouldn't have surveilled him. That was still tax dollars.
You're throwing a lot of whataboutism out
there.
Well,
no. I'm just saying I don't know, and that wasn't adjudicated in a way that one could come to it.
But
actually, I do think that he did spend time. The civil rights activism is what's important.
It's still a bad thing. Like it's still not a great thing. Like
he's in Mars Attacks, which you mentioned earlier.
I did, but that's also very different than the conversation that we're having.
I'm not saying if anything was done that's okay. I'm saying that I don't know, and I'm not willing to adjudicate that here with a hard A at the beginning of adjudicate. That's how you spell it, with an A at the beginning. And that refers to a court proceeding being done, and without I'd have to be looking at exactly what happened to make any comment beyond what I have said.
Again, working within the vacuum, like Jim Brown, civil rights, great things. Like what you said, like for him standing up with Muhammad Ali, like very fucking important. And there are a lot of people who, throughout the course of history, have done great things out of one side of their mouths and awful things out of the opposite side of their mouths at the same exact time.
LBJ was a virulent racist. I brought that up last time. You know.
Yeah. I knew that about him.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, do I dislike Jesse Ventura in movies because I may or may not have agreed with his policies as part of the Reform Party? I guess that's different than breaking the law. But breaking the law, we all should aspire not to be in a Running Man type situation where society devolves to just cheering clear evil. Like this old lady at this point in the movie we're watching starts going, I think he's going to kill the next person because he's a motherfucker.
Yep.
And I like that the old ladies look old in this movie.
It's also, again, like for Lynn Marie Stewart.
Charlie's mom.
Yes. The fact that it's 1987 and she looks that old and still looks the same now at like 2024.
She's not the lady who says motherfucker just to...
No, she's not. Yeah. But like she's like I enjoy it when character actors can find that consistency for themselves.
Tease the next episode for us.
I'm a voice actor by trade. I've done some on-camera stuff. I used to do a lot more on-camera stuff. All of my background is improv and sketch comedy and making the hustle to get into movies and TV shows and such. My first paid gig was actually as an extra on Law & Order.
You were in New York, so that's kind of...
I was, yeah. I did
downplay it, though. He still had to work to get on Law & Order. Come on.
You ever heard the thing that all New York actors eventually have to be on?
Oh.
Yeah, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. Did you guys know that I lived in New York? Because I did.
Oh, that comes up in the next episode.
I not only lived in New York, I worked in New York for a while. It was in New York when I lived in New York. You'll get to hear all about my growth into the highly evolved human I am, I suppose, and more awake human than now.
The song, at the end of this movie sucks. Does anyone want to fight me on that?
Why did you ask him to tease it? I feel like that was a good ending.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Then you can cut there. I don't know.
What are you doing?
I'm a bad host sometimes. I'm not a great host. I'm a good host. See, that'll be more funny when you listen to the next one.
It'll be better if I had said that, Cal. You can't stop saying you're good at something the other person says you're good at.
That's what comes up in the next episode, is that I mistook that. Or I caught myself.